Today, we're going to be talking about Long Island versus North Atlanta. Now, this is dear to my heart because I am born and raised in Long Island, New York, and I live in North Atlanta now. So we're going to be given some good tips on what's the difference between Long Island and North Atlanta, what you get for your money here in North Atlanta compared to Long Island. So the Long Island accent might be coming out, Sue. So let's dig into this. How are you doing today, Sue?
I'm doing great, Mary Ellen. How are you?
I'm doing great. So are you thinking of moving from Long Island, New York, to the North Atlanta area? We want to give you some information that you might be surprised about. So let's go, Sue. Let's talk.
Yeah, so anyway, you're probably used to really expensive homes if you're from Long Island and there's North Shore mansions to the Hamptons, but you've got a really big property tax burden up there, don't you, Mary Ellen?
Yes, you do. Shockaroo, when you come down here, it's so pleasant. It's nice.
Right. So the other thing you have up there that is interesting is a high commute lifestyle. From Long Island, maybe into Manhattan. Is that what you experienced when you lived up there?
Yeah. So when I lived in New York and I worked on Wall Street, I used to commute. So I would get onto the railroad, the Long Island Railroad, and I'd get into Brooklyn, then I'd get over to Manhattan and go to work. And door to door, close to 2 hours. The only good thing about that, I can say, there's some really good points about that too, is that I didn't have to fight and drive in traffic like you do in Atlanta. So we have to look at, there's some good things and some bad things every time we talk about that. Right. So commuting is, I didn't have to drive and focus. I was just on a train. I'd be on a train, but you have to be early. That's why I'm always early, because you have to be early because you can't miss the train. The train leaves at 5:01. It's leaving at 5:01. So
right.
You got to be in that too. And then the cost of that is we had the Long Island Railroad monthly bill as well as every time you ran on the subway. So right. And it was a very easy commute down to Wall Street, but in Atlanta, you're in a car, most likely. Traffic. Yes. So it could be advantages and disadvantages on that. So the property taxes in Nassau and Suffolk County, and we all know Long Island has those two counties there. They're pretty high compared to New York. Compared to Alpharetta. See, I always talk about New York because I'm from New York, right? So when people come down here, I think they're shocked to the T. Because what is the percentage of a house? If you buy, say, a $500,000 home in North Atlanta, the taxes are going to be about $7,500, maybe $8,000.
Right, you're going to pay 1 to 1.25% tops in the North Atlanta area compared to what you pay up north. I mean, I experienced the same thing when I moved down from the Philadelphia area 15 years ago, and you get a lot more for your money here in terms of a house, but you also get a lot more for your money in terms of house versus the tax ratio. We were paying double up in the Philadelphia area for a smaller home than what we were able to purchase here for the same price.
Exactly. We're also going to talk about childcare and how expensive it is in Long Island compared to North Atlanta area, because that is also a big thing. And most people that are coming from Long Island they're both working. Both spouses are working most likely. And sometimes when you move to the South, you might be able to just go off one income, right, which I think is a big advantage if you're growing a family. So let's get into the numbers and see how much a move from North Atlanta could save you and your family. If you stick around, we're going to show you several homes here in the North Atlanta area that what you can get in the $700,000 range, the size compared to Long Island. You might be blown away on that. So
we're going to start by showing you one home that's on Zillow. It's 2203 Washington Street in Merrick, New York, in Long Island. I don't know where Merrick is, Mary Ellen. Are you familiar?
Merrick is out on the island. So, you're pretty much local there too as well. But you're going to get a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, 1,050 square feet.
1,050 square feet?
Yes.
Wow. That's really tiny.
I mean, it's a cute house, but, I think we are really spoiled here in the South because bigger is better, I guess, right? So we're seeing a lot of bigger homes.
I don't think they build small homes in the South.
I really don't. I think you are correct on that, because even people come down here and they're like, but I want something smaller. I'm like, well, it kind of doesn't exist. So,
right.
So anyway, so that's what you're going to see. So let's talk, why don't you talk about Long Island, the Long Island market here?
Yeah, well, what we can see is that the median single family price in the Long Island market is around $705,000. It jumps to $770,000 or higher in the Nassau area. The monthly carrying costs for a Long Island homeowner are anywhere from $4,000 to $7,000 a month. And, enormous portion is going towards taxes too, which can be between $10,000 and $20,000 annually. So in the North Atlanta area, like we said, you will get, for the equivalent purchase price, you'll get a much larger home, lower total monthly payment, and dramatically lower annual taxes. As far as utilities, utilities in Long Island, on Long Island are notably high. You should probably have a budget of about $250 to $350 per month for electric, gas, water, and waste. Now that seems low with the way the winter's been this year. I'm sure those electric bills are even higher from PSEG in Long Island. But anyway, you've also got the transportation costs. We, talked about the Long Island Railroad. Gas and insurance costs are also high up there. And car insurance can run a family anywhere from $250 to $350 a month in Long Island. Groceries fall in the $800 to $1,000 range for a family of 4. And childcare in Long Island is about $1,600 to $2,300 a month. So despite having those higher property taxes, funding those public schools up there, it's still, pretty expensive. Anything else to add about Long Island, Mary Ellen, having lived there?
The child care and private schools. Let's kind of dig into that a little bit.
In Long Island.
Yeah, so what you see is childcare is really a major expense, right? With a full-time infant care costing average of $1,600 to $2,300 a month. And then private school tuition, which many families opt to despite the high property taxes and funding for the public schools in Long Island, they average from $15,000 to $25,000 per year in Suffolk and also in Nassau County. Private school tuitions are very similar here. I mean, you're going to get $10,000 to $20,000. So I would say they're similar. I would say maybe childcare is not as expensive here as it is there. And I think there's a lot more options here in the South than up in the North.
And I think it depends on where you are in the South as well.
Sure, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And we talked about sales taxes in Nassau County are 8.625, where in Suffolk County, they're 8.76. Now, what we're going to talk about is we're going to show you similar homes that we have up here in North Atlanta. So we're going to start with this home here. It's 315 Burgess Walk in Alpharetta, Georgia. It's $775. And what it is 4 bedrooms, 3 full, 1 half, 2,226 square feet. So I think what we're looking at is we were looking at a 3-bedroom, 1 bath. Everyone's fighting for that 1 bathroom at 1,035 square feet. Where here you're getting double the square footage, plus you're getting 1 more bedroom, plus 2.5 more bathrooms. And I think that's one thing that we talk about. And this is a townhouse. So it was built in 2020, right. Townhouse. Right. You have an HO fee of $300, which is not bad. Right. But just really kind of seeing what you can get for your money here, I think is really important. And kind of looking at this is kind of what you get for your money here.
Right. And now, one thing we should tell people about this Burgess Walk home, this is in a community called the Maxwell. The Maxwell is walkable to downtown Alpharetta. So it offers like a live, work, play type of lifestyle. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I think that's really big too. So actually you can get something double the square footage, 2.5 more bathrooms. Okay. Because how many times are people fighting for bathrooms, right? And I think I think as we've been in the South for a longer time, people, and talking to our clients, people, if they're from here, they expect every bedroom to have a full bath, right? When people come from the North, or they come from California or Texas, whatever, they're saying, wow, everybody gets a bathroom. That's cool. We're so used to sharing that. So I think that's just another point to show. So we're going to show this property, which is 3580 Manor Court Drive, and that's in Alpharetta, and it's 800,000. This is a 2-bedroom, 3 full baths. It's 2,202 square feet, and it's really a nice ranch type property, which is very similar to the one that we showed on Long Island, except it's double the square footage. Mm-hmm. And you get a lot of light in here too as well. So, and it's new.
Right.
So what you're going to see in Long Island is you're going to see a lot of older homes being, redone, where this is a brand new build, which is kind of nice. There are so many more areas in the North Atlanta area. It's growing. So you will see a lot of new construction here. And that's another thing you don't see as much in Long Island. So that's advantage, disadvantage. Some people like a charm of an older house. This is kind of what it is. And what I can tell you that most houses in the North Atlanta area are very traditional homes. And you're going to see a lot of brick, like you do at this house that we're just showing you right now at 12595 Huntington Trace. And that's in Alpharetta, and it's a 5-bedroom and 3 full baths. It's 3,000 square feet, 3,050 square feet for $784,900. So, and it was built in 2009, 2002. I don't know, my brain's a little dead today, but anyway, let's just look at this and what you're going to see also here, compared what you don't have in Long Island is you have a lot of subdivisions. So Sue, explain what a subdivision is here in Georgia.
So a lot of the subdivisions here do have amenities, which are not something that you generally saw in some of the older neighborhoods up north. At least where I grew up in the Philadelphia area, we didn't have amenities. Amenities often include tennis and swim, maybe a playground, pickleball courts, things like that. Sometimes they have a small clubhouse for neighborhood get-togethers and so forth. You generally do have an HOA here that does pay for that. Some of the HOAs can really vary depending upon the amenities that are included and the amount of maintenance that they provide. If you're in a community where they're mowing your lawn and so forth, your HOA, of course, is going to be higher than if it's one that maybe just has a child's playground and no pool. So it's just something to consider as far as what you want your lifestyle to be like, because here it's really common for people to live outside a lot because of the weather being so great. We do have 4 seasons here. Spring comes in February here, so you can kind of fight your way through a couple weeks of nasty weather in January and enjoy spring as soon as February comes around. But overall, living in Atlanta, the type of lifestyle that we have, it's slightly above the Georgia average, and the cost of living is slightly above the Georgia average here in the North Metro Atlanta area, but still below what the national, average is for the U.S. cost of living. Housing, whether you're buying or renting, tends to be your biggest expense in your budget, especially in desirable, well-located suburbs, especially those that have great school districts. So when you are looking to move here, you might want to look at greatschools.org and make your own decisions on what type of school you want your children to go to if you do have children. As far as taxes, Georgia's base state sales tax is 4%. Local jurisdictions like the Metro Atlanta area, though, typically add something on top of that. In many parts of Atlanta, the area combined state and local sales tax can be up to as much as 8% or so. Property taxes, however, they significantly vary by county. For example, in Fulton County, it's around 1.09% effective property tax rate. In Gwinnett, it's about 1.3%. Some other counties are lower, such as Forsyth County, depending upon the local assessment and the millage rates. Some counties also do offer a senior discount once you hit 62 or 65, depending upon what the rules are in that county. We generally find, as far as utilities in the area, that coming from the north to the south, your higher bills up north were in the winter when you were trying to heat your home and stay inside from the cold weather and the temperatures. Here, you'll see that your utilities are generally a little bit higher in the summer as you're cooling your home more. But regardless, the utilities here are more moderately priced than the national averages. It's not cheap, but it's not among the highest cost metro areas either. Transportation in the Atlanta area, we do have MARTA. MARTA has bus routes. They also have some rail routes, but they're much more limited than what you experienced up north. The trains ran much more regularly and had many more routes up north than what they have here. But you can get a 30-day pass on MARTA here for about $95 a month. If you're driving, the gas prices tend to be close to the national levels, whatever they are at the given time. But, gasoline prices are subject to fluctuation no matter where you live. With that said, traffic and commute times do matter a lot to people. Many people in Metro Atlanta do experience long commute times. So that's why I always recommend to people that if you're relocating from the north, you look at where you will be working and try to maybe find a home within a 10-mile radius of that house at the most. It saves on your vehicle maintenance, it saves on your gas costs, it saves on your parking, and all these costs added together can add up. Groceries in the North Atlanta area tend to track around the same as the U.S. national average, maybe a little bit higher. But as a rough guideline, a modest to average monthly grocery bill might run $300 to $500 per adult, depending upon your diet, your family size, your buying habits, things like that. Dining out is reasonably affordable here, though. I find that Atlanta is a real foodie town. We've got some really excellent restaurants, in Atlanta, in Buckhead, in the North Metro Atlanta area. A meal or budget at a casual restaurant might run you $15 to $20 a person. A mid-range dinner for two with drinks or some nicer items and maybe some appetizers, that could run you $60 to $90-ish, depending upon the venue and how nice you choose to go. If you're coming from a higher cost state, such as, New York tends to be, this moderate food cost might be a pleasant surprise for many of you.
Yes, definitely. And then just going into childcare and schools and educational costs here, I think that it's very comparable to New York. The schools, the private schools are going to be, anywhere from $12,000 to $8,000 per child per year. That's a good range. And it's very similar to the New York. It's just a matter of here, the private schools, you have to drive your children to the private schools, and a lot of private schools, I know in New York, they actually have bus service, but we do not have any kind of bus service whatsoever to any of our private schools. So that's just something to configure in if you are going to send your kids to private school here in Georgia. And other costs healthcare, personal services, sales, and miscellaneous, doctor visits, dentist. In Atlanta tends to be slightly above the national average. I mean, we all have insurance and, our insurance covers whatever. So, I think it's just kind of, healthcare is just something you have to look into. Everyone has a personal opinion and a personal level, and we're not really going to dig into that. But
right. We do have excellent hospitals here. We have Emory, we have Northside. The child care here, as far as Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, they're all excellent hospitals.
Yeah, and we also have the Shepherd Center too, which, hopefully you don't have to visit that. But if you do, it's really a great place. I have a couple people that have been there recently from other states. They've come up to the Shepherd Center and been very happy with that too as well. But the haircuts, entertainment, everyday services, I think they're pretty much similar. They might be they're above the national average, but compared to New York, I think they might be a little lower. That's just, it also who you go to, right? You can find a haircut really inexpensive, or you can find one. So it's just a matter of you seeking out those luxury items. So for people buying a property in addition to a mortgage, remembering recurring costs such as property taxes, which are a lot lower than Long Island, homeowners insurance, which I think is a lot lower as well, HOA fees. So if you have a subdivision, you're paying those HOA fees. It's not only for people that have townhouses and condos, it's for people who own homes, because a lot of the subdivisions here have pool, tennis, pickleball, playground, those types of services. So the homeowners are paying for that on a monthly to yearly basis. So when you have a larger home, it can, add up. And I will say right now, probably average subdivisions charging around $1,000 to $1,500 a year for those services, just to kind of give you a ballpark figure. Every subdivision is going to be different, but I think that's a good guidance there.
Yeah, but having come from the Northeast, and you lived in, New York and so forth, compared to the higher cost of living states, I think the North Metro Atlanta tends to offer a good value for your money, especially when you factor in housing. I think utilities are very reasonable here, food is very reasonable, and the taxes are very, very moderate here. I love the outdoor lifestyle here. Being outside so much more, I think, is so much healthier. We do a lot of walking here because it is so nice outside most of the time. We did touch on how affordability, there are different areas where it can be a little bit more expensive around here than others. Property taxes do vary, commute times do vary, but I think when you're looking at a place to live and to move to in the North Atlanta area, you have to consider your lifestyle, schools, where you're going to be working, and what type of a lifestyle you want to have. Do you want to have your children in public schools? What's the cost of that going to be? And maybe there's another area close to where you're working where you could send your child to public schools instead and give them a great quality of education. The one thing that Georgia has that up in Pennsylvania we did not have was the Hope Scholarship for college-age students. If you have a student that graduates from a Georgia high school with a certain GPA, they can qualify for a scholarship towards their tuition at a Georgia institution for college. So that's something to take into consideration as well, because that can be a huge savings ultimately.
Yes, definitely. So we're here to help. We have a relocation guide. Let us know. We're happy to send that to you anytime. You can see a link below on that. And in conclusion, Sue, come on, conclude us on the difference between Long Island and North Atlanta. I'm a little biased. I love both for different reasons. But what are you going to say? What's the differences?
So if you're tired of seeing a large portion of your monthly income disappear into the New York tax burden and to your commuter black hole up there, it's time to talk about moving to North Atlanta. That Long Island budget of about $7,500 can buy you substantially more house here in Metro Atlanta every single month. The tax bill could be a lot lower. We're very family focused in our communities down here with all the amenities that these neighborhoods do offer. And if you're ready to see real numbers of what your Long Island equity in your home could buy you here, that could really create a very enticing relocation path for you, because you can buy a lot for your money here. Mary Ellen, I think that people should click on our contact link below and reach out to us.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, Atlanta has an airport, has an international airport. It's just like JFK and LaGuardia. And the traffic is just as bad getting there. I was just in New York a week ago, so I know the traffic getting from the North Atlanta area to the airport is going to take you between an hour and an hour and a half, depending on traffic. Reach out to us. Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Ladies of North Atlanta. You need a relocation guide, we're here. You just want to have a conversation with us, we're here to help you too as well. Have a great day, everybody.